Welcome. This is Leonard Kaufer for Uke Jams, and today we're recording our first ever virtual play-along. Hopefully this will help all the Uke Jammers out there who are locked into their home like myself. And we're going to do about 15 songs today, and our songs today are all going to be in the Tin Pan Alley genre, although I promise you there'll be many you haven't heard before. Our normal collection of songs is much more eclectic, so after this first episode, we will be all over the map in terms of songs. But for now, we've got the songs up on the screen. This is the first time I've done this, so hopefully the technology is all working right. We've got Ain't Misbehavin', and we've got one unusual chord down here, the E flat 7. And we're going to run through the song 2 times. And the first time I'm going to do it kind of straight, and the second time I'm going to do it in the style of Fats Waller. So when we do the turnaround, we'll do it more in a style that Fats Waller would have done. No one to talk with, all by myself. No one to walk with, but I'm happy on the shelf. Ain't misbehaving, I'm saving my love for you. I know for certain the one I love. I'm through with flirting, this is you that I'm thinking of. Ain't misbehaving, I'm saving my love for you. Like Jack Horner in the corner, don't go nowhere, what do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for. Believe me, I don't stay out late, don't gotta go. I'm home about 8, just me and my radio. Ain't misbehaving, I'm saving my love for you. No one to talk with, I'm all by myself. No one to walk with, but I'm happy on the shelf, baby. I ain't misbehaving, no, I'm saving my love for you, for you, for you, for you. I know for certain the one I love, I'm through with flirting, it's just you that I'm thinking of, baby. I ain't misbehaving, I'm saving my love for you. I'm like Jack Horner over there in the corner. I don't go nowhere. Whoa, what do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for. Believe me, I don't stay out late. No, I don't care to go. I'm home about 8. It's just me and my radio, baby. I ain't misbehaving. I'm saving my love for you. All right. Obviously, that was Ain't Misbehavin'. Now we're going to go to 1913 with Ballin' the Jack, a song a lot of people don't know the verses to. I like to do verses to most of these songs. And best as anybody can determine, Ballin' the Jack refers to taking the accelerator on a train, and the top of the handle had balls on it, and pushing it all the way to the wall. We might say balls to the wall today, but Ballin' the Jack, that's what it's believed to refer to originally, not necessarily in this song. We've got some unusual diminished chords. You'll notice in my chord charts I leave the 7 off the diminished. It's always assumed. So when you don't see a 7 here and you're looking for a D diminished chord, it's D diminished 7. So that's one thing to know. Another thing to know is I tend to put every chord for every measure in there. That's why there's 2 Ds, because there's 2 measures of D. And down here in the chorus, we've got an F with 2 slashes and an A7 with 2 slashes. In my nomenclature, that means 2 beats of F, 2 beats of A7, 2 beats of B flat 7, 2 beats of A7. So we've got those 2 diminished chords. We've got a D flat 7. That's a little unusual, so don't be surprised when that shows up. All right, here we go with Ballin' the Jack. Folks in Georgia about to go insane since that new dance. Down in Georgia came, I'm the only person who's to blame. I'm the party introduced it there. So, give me credit to know a thing or two. Give me credit for springing something new. I will show this little dance to you. When I do, you say it's a bear. So first you put your two knees close up tight, and then you sway them to the left, and then you sway them to the right. Step around the floor kind of nice and light, then you twist around with all of your might. Stretch your loving arms way out in space, and then you do the eagle rock with style and grace. Swing your foot way around, then bring it back. Now that's what I call ballin' the jack. It's being done at all the cabarets, all society now has got the craze. It's the best dance done in modern days. That's why I rave about it so well. Play some good rap to you, I'll show. So first you put your two knees close up tight, and then you sway them to the left, and then you sway them to the right. Step around the floor kind of nice and light, then you twist around with all your might. Stretch your loving arms way out in space, and then you do the eagle rock with style and grace. Swing your foot way around, then bring it back. That's what I call ballin' the jack. Take it. That's what I call ballin' the one more. That's what I call ballin' the jack. All right, you'll notice, you may have noticed up here in the verse where it says, when I do, you'll say it's a bear. And if you've paid attention to the lyrics to Rootin' Tootin' Cowboy Joe, you'll notice that he's a ragtime bear down in the second verse. Well, today, later on, we're going to find out where that term comes from. But for now, we're going to do a lovely little tune called By the Light of the Silvery Moon. Lots of unusual chords down here. I don't have to spend time going over the chords because you can simply rewind, take your time, figure these chords out on your own, or simply move ahead to the next song after this one. Up to you. Place park, scene dark, silvery moon is shining through the trees. Cast two, me, you. Sound of kisses floating on the breeze. Act one, begun. Dialogue, where would you like to spoon? My cue, with you. Underneath the silvery moon. By the light of the silvery moon. I want to spoon. Keep a shining in June. Your silvery beams will bring love dreams. Will be covered soon on the silvery moon. Act two, scene new. Roses blooming all around the place. Cast three, you, me. Preacher with the solemn looking face. Choir sings, bell rings. Preacher, you are wed forevermore. Act two, all through. Every night the same encore. By the light of the silvery moon. I want to spoon. Money I'll croon, lost to honeymoon. Keep a shining in June. Your silvery beams will bring love dreams. Will be cuddling soon Okay, let's see what we have next. Oh, this is a fun song. Not a lot of people play it, not a lot of people know it, but I promise you, you're gonna enjoy it. Tikka Tikka Doo. I believe this is from 1923. There's a spot I know, a place they call Samoa by the sea. Talking there is not the mode. They palaver in a code. They command each other, understand each other perfectly. Love and mamas there are free. You don't give them repartee. Wooing a tropical maiden doesn't need tropical talk. You maneuver, and if you approve her, you can win her love in a walk. Zulu man is feeling blue. Hear his heartbeat, a little tattoo. Digga digga doo, digga doo doo. Digga digga doo, digga doo. You love me and I love you, and when you love, it's natural too. Digga digga doo, digga doo doo. Digga digga doo, digga doo. I'm so very digga digga doo by nature. If you don't say digga digga to your mate, you're gonna lose a papa, so let those funny people smile. How can there be a virgin now with digga digga doo, digga doo doo? Digga digga doo, digga doo. Every evening by the ocean, when they all go through the motion of the digga digga doo, of the digga digga doo. Everything they got, they quiver from the ankle to the liver, and they make the island shiver, yelling digga digga doo. I was so unshaken, quaking with the throng. Now I know why 50,000 Frenchmen can't be wrong. Zulu man is feeling blue. Hear his heart beat, a little tattoo. Digga digga doo, digga doo doo. Digga digga doo, digga doo. You love me and I love you, and when you love, it's natural too. Digga digga doo, digga doo doo. Digga digga doo, digga doo. I'm so very digga digga doo by nature. If you don't say digga digga to your mate, you're gonna lose a papa, so let those funny people smile. How can there be a virgin now? Digga digga doo, digga doo doo. Digga digga doo, digga doo. Once more, Zulu man is feeling blue. Hear his heartbeat, a little tattoo. Digga digga doo, digga doo doo. Digga digga doo, digga doo. You love me and I love you, and when you love, it's natural too. Digga digga doo, digga doo doo. Digga digga doo, digga doo. I'm so very digga digga doo by nature. If you don't say digga digga to your mate, you're gonna lose a papa, so let those funny people smile. How can there be a virgin now with digga digga doo, digga doo doo. Digga digga doo, digga doo. All right, that was a lot of fun. Now, you might notice this is from 1923, which is getting kind of late for Tin Pan Alley, but they used to conflate jungles with tropical islands. So they didn't think of all the islands in the Pacific as tropical isles. They thought of them as jungle isles. That's why we have a place near Samoa with a Zulu man. But then they'd probably never left New York, so what do you expect? But it's a lot of fun for me to play, so hope you enjoyed it. This next song's a little more modern, comes from, I think, 1941, but it's from a marvelous movie called New Orleans, from, I believe, 1941. I should say, a movie with marvelous music in it. The movie itself is pretty bad, but when you have Louis Armstrong and a whole host leading a band of jazz luminaries, and Billie Holiday singing the vocals, you're going to be in for a good time. One of my favorite stories about this movie is it was one of Billie Holiday's first acting roles, and not surprisingly, she played a maid for that time. And one of the reviewers said of Billie Holiday, as an actress, she's a marvelous singer. So this is just pretty much a straight-ahead blues song, but written in 1941. But again, it harkens back to the feel of the early jazz age. About 1917 is when they closed down Storyville in New Orleans. So it's a fun song that my Uke Jams group really loves to play. So. Here we go. All you old-time queens from New Orleans who lived in Storyville, you sang the blues, tried to amuse. Here's how they pay the bill. The law step in and call it sin to have a little fun. A police car has made a stop. Storyville is done. Pick out your steamboat, pick yourself a train, a slow train. Pick out your steamboat, pick yourself a train, a slow train. They made you close up, they'll never let you back, won't let you back. Go buy your ticket, or else you'll walk the track. No use complaining, blue skies follow rain, the cold old rain. No use complaining, blue skies follow rain, the cold old rain. Just say farewell now and get your one last thrill, your one last thrill. Just say farewell now, farewell to Storyville. Pick out your steamboat, pick yourself a train, a slow train. Pick out your steamboat, pick yourself a train, a slow train. They made you close up, they'll never let you back, won't let you back. Go buy a ticket, or else you walk the track. No use complaining, blue skies follow rain, the cold old rain. No use complaining, blue skies follow rain, the cold old rain. Just say farewell now and get your one last thrill, your one last thrill. Slow it down, just say farewell now, farewell to Storyville. I encourage you to find the original to that on YouTube. It's a marvelous tune. As I say, Louis Armstrong and Billie Holiday, among others. Okay, we've got 5'2" coming up. And I've done something very unusual for my chord charts, which is I've included part of the original music score because so few people will know how the chorus, how the verses go. And I'm going to be including the verses. And also, a lot of people aren't familiar with what sheet music looked like in the 20s at the height of the ukulele surge. And that is, they would take regular sheet music. I've cut out the bottom staff here. They'd take regular sheet music and someone would just kind of pencil in rather crudely the chord shapes above the staffs. Now, these chord letters I've added. All they had was the chord shapes, so you didn't even have to know anything about music to play these songs. They were just visual chord diagrams. And something else that may seem a little odd if you know music, the key we're in does not match the key we're playing. The ukuleles back in those days were not tuned as we tune them. They were tuned a whole step higher. So the chords they would play would match this key. The chords we're playing, we're going to play it in the key of C. And when we get to the turnaround, each of these notes, chords in the turnaround are 4 beats each. And we've got some augmented chords in here. When I play this G augmented, I leave my finger off that top string, so it's a much easier chord to reach. But as I tell my folks when we're playing live, if you're just picking up the ukulele, it's important that you play the chord, whatever the root note is, A, B, C, D, G, and the sharp or the flat, if there's a sharp or a flat. It's important that you play the minor, and it's important that you play the 7. Anything after that, tunes that you might think are unapproachable, just by making them just a little bit simpler. We've got a G minor up here, and the shapes are shown there, so I didn't include it down here. But what you'll notice I do on this, because this is a ragtime song, so it's very syncopated, is we've got 1.5 notes of G minor, and then we go right to the A7. So you'll see me changing chords, not just before the 2, not 1, 2, 3, 4, but 1, 2, change chord, 3, 4, or 1 and I'm changing the chord, sorry, 1 and. So you'll see that. It helps get that syncopated feel going. So here we are, 5'2". I just saw a maniac, wild and tearing his hair, jumping like a jumping jack, child, you should have been there. Laughed so loud I thought that I would cave in, when I heard that silly daffodilly raving. 5'2", eyes of blue, oh what those 5 foot could do. Has anybody seen my girl? Turned up nose, turned down hose, flapper, yes sir, one of all those things. Bet your life it isn't her, but could she love, could she woo, could she coo? Has anybody seen my girl? Love made him a lunatic, gee. He hollered and cried like a monkey on a stick, all of us with this conniption. 5'2", eyes of blue, oh what those 5 foot could do. Has anybody seen my girl? Turned up nose, turned down hose, flapper, yes sir, one of those. Has anybody seen my girl? Now if you run into 5'2", covered with fur, diamond rings, all those things, bet your love that isn't her. But could she love, could she woo, could she coo? Has anybody seen, tag that, has anybody seen, one more, has anybody seen my girl? All right, 5'2". Now I'll give my spiel for these verses. All these old tunes, I like to add the verses for a couple reasons. One, they're usually good music. Sometimes they're bad. Bill Bailey comes to mind as having really bad, boring verses. But they're usually kind of interesting. But more importantly, you've got this song here which takes you about 15 seconds to play. So you play the chorus, and then you play the chorus a second time, and then you stop. That's what most youth groups usually do. So having the verses gives you the chance to have a full song. And like a lot of people who play the ukulele, I go to retirement homes to play, and having these verses makes it really fun because you can tell them a fair amount about the song without giving the title away, and then promise that they know the song very well. And then you start with these verses, and they look at you very puzzled until you break into the chorus and you see their eyes light up and a lot of smiles. So for a lot of these old tunes, I recommend you start learning and playing these verses if you don't already. All right, Grizzly Bear. I promised we'd tell you about grizzly bears. And in the late 1900s, 1908, 1909, there was a big craze for animal dances. Grizzly bear, turkey trot, camel lope, camel hump, buzzard lope, and the one that still is around today, the foxtrot. They all came out about the same time, and a lot of them came out of San Francisco. They were very shocking and controversial dances at that time because of the way people were touching and holding each other. But one of them was the Grizzly Bear, and it was a big hit, one of Irving Berlin's first hits. And it was about the dance, the Grizzly Bear, out in San Francisco. And so we had a song earlier that referred to the bear. I don't know that we're doing, I know we're not doing the rootin' tootin' son of a gun from Arizona, Ragtime Cowboy. We're not doing that song, but it refers to a bear in its second verse, and there are a few other songs that refer to a bear. This was, at the time, the most popular of those animal dances, the Grizzly Bear. So this song I charted a little differently. I did this fairly early on, so you've got verse 1 in the first line. Out in San Francisco where the weather's fair, they got a dance out there. All your other lovin' dances. That's verse 1. And then we have verse 2, let's sit down and rest a minute, my head feels queer. So that's more what traditional music notation looks like, with the verses stacked one on top of the other. So just be aware. All right, George Botsford and Irving Berlin, early Irving Berlin with the Grizzly Bear. Out in San Francisco where the weather's fair, they got a dance out there they call the Grizzly Bear. All your other lovin' dances don't compare. Not so coony, but a little more than spoony. Talk about your bears that Teddy Roosevelt shot. They couldn't class with what old San Francisco's got. Listen, my honey-do, and I will show to you the dance of the Grizzly Bear. Hug up close to your baby. Throw your shoulders toward the ceiling. Lordy, lordy, what a feeling. Snug up close to your lady. Close your eyes and do some napping. Something nice is gonna happen. Hug up close to your baby. Sway me every way. Show your darling beau just how you go to Buffalo. Doing the Grizzly Bear. Let's sit down a minute, honey dear. My head feels awful queer. Keys all the way too near. Whiter water, quick, the lady's gone, I fear. Thank you, honey. In my purse you'll find some money. Where's that man who showed me how to do that dance that put me in a trance? I'll take another chance. Now that I've got my breath, I'm his and until death. Come on with your Grizzly Bear. Hug up close to your baby. Hypnotize me like a lizard. Shake yourself just like a blizzard. Snug up close to your lady. If they do that dance in heaven, shoot me home tonight at 7. Hug up close to your baby. Sway me every way. You and me is two. I'll make it one when we get through. Doing the Grizzly Bear. All right, I forgot to tell you another convention I use is the down arrow for the grand strum, where you're just playing one, and oftentimes I'm muting. That's just a feel that I'm going for. In a couple of the songs we did earlier, I did that single strum as well. That was more just something I felt doing at the moment. But in these, when I mark it down, it's something that I want you to do every time you play the song. For the standard method of playing, of course, you get to do whatever you want when you play your song. All right, here's one I doubt a lot of people are familiar with. And see a note here that there's 6 choruses. There are 3 choruses here. There's a lot more on the second page if you go to the YouTube, the website where I keep all my PDFs. So there's a lot more verses to this song. Choruses. It's got an intro and then 3 choruses. So we'll do an intro and then 3 choruses. So that's how we'll do it. And again, it's like the previous song. We've got chorus 1 is the first line of each of these stanzas, chorus 2 and then chorus 3. So this song gets a little risque near the end, particularly the end of the second verse. Surprising that they wrote it. I'm sure it was completely innocent in their day. No double entendres intended. Here we go. I Love Me, 1923. When people write their songs of love, they write of one another. It's always sis or ma and pa, a sweetheart or a brother. But love songs that they've aimed at me have all gone off the shelf. I don't think that is fair, so now I'll write one of myself. I love me, I love me, I love myself to death. I love me till I'm all out of breath. I stop at every slot machine that I should chance to pass. and give myself a hug and squeeze as I look in the glass. Oh, I love me, I'm wild about sweet me. I love me, only me, so I'm content, you see. I like myself with such delight, I take myself straight home each night and sleep with me till broad daylight. I'm wild about myself. I love me, every place I go. I love me, and at a picture show, I take myself right by the arm and push me through the crowd, and listen to myself read me the titles right out loud. Oh, I love me, I love to squeeze my hand. I love me, it always feels so grand. With me I get right in my tub, I like to give myself a rub. Oh, how I love to feel me scrub, I'm wild about myself. I love me, I'm wild about myself. I love me, my picture's on my shelf. You may not think I look so good, but me thinks I'm just fine. It's grand when I look in my eyes and know that I'm all mine. Oh, I love me, and my love does not bore. Day by day in every way, I love me more and more. I take me to a quiet place, I put my arm around my waist. If me gets flash, I slap my face, I'm wild about myself. That's a lot of fun. I think that's a lot of fun. I always love these old tidbits from the songs. 1923, they didn't have talkies yet. So here in the second verse, I listened to myself read me the titles right out loud because, of course, there were titles in between all the scenes with the dialogue. All right. Here's an old classic folk song, Ain't Gonna Rain No More, No More. For some reason, I have trouble starting on the chorus verses, so I'm just going to start in the chorus. It doesn't say so, but we're going to do the chorus in between every single one of these verses. And there's some interesting spellings and pronunciations here, but we'll figure that out when we get to them. Oh, it ain't gonna rain no more, no more. It ain't gonna rain no more. How in the world can the old folks tell? It ain't gonna rain no more. Oh, the night was dark and dreary, and the air was full of leaks. Well, the old man stood out in the storm, and his shoes were full of feet. Oh, it ain't gonna rain no more, no more. It ain't gonna rain no more. How in the world can the old folks tell? It ain't gonna rain no more. Well, the butterfly flits on wings of gold, the June bug wings of flame. The bedbug has no wings at all, but he gets there just the same. Oh, it ain't gonna rain no more, no more. It ain't gonna rain no more. How in the world can the old folks tell? It ain't gonna rain no more. Oh, mosquito, he fly high. Oh, mosquito, he fly low. If old Mosquito light on me, he ain't gonna fly no more. Well, it ain't gonna rain no more, no more. Ain't gonna rain no more. How in the world can the old folks tell? It ain't gonna rain no more. Well, the bullfrog sitting on a lily pad, looking up at the sky. Oh, the lily pad broke and the frog fell in, got water all in his eyes. Well, it ain't gonna rain no more, no more. It ain't gonna rain no more. How in the world can the old folks tell? It ain't gonna rain no more. Well, here's a verse about a man and a trombone. Well, the words to it are few. He blew, he blew, he blew, he blew, he blew, he blew, he blew. Well, it ain't gonna rain no more, no more. It ain't gonna rain no more. How in the world can the old folks tell? It ain't gonna rain no more. Well, a man lay down by a sewer, and by the sewer he died. He died, and at the coroner's request, they called it suicide. Well, it ain't gonna rain no more, no more. Ain't gonna rain no more. How in the world can the old folks tell? It ain't gonna rain no more. A little black white now out in the woods, I say, ain't that little cat pretty? I went right over to pick it up, but it wasn't that kind of a kitty. Oh, it ain't gonna rain no more, no more. It ain't gonna rain no more. How in the world can the old folks slow it down? It ain't gonna rain no more. You don't want to pick up the black and white kitties out in the forest. That's not a good idea. All right, Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Not a simple song to play, but a song I think we need to rescue from the wreckage that was created by Tiny Tim taking America by storm. It is quite a lovely song. It's not a simple song. As you can see, the chords are not basic chords. And there's some really unusual timing down here in the at the end of the chorus. Again, every time you see a chord, it's 4 beats unless you see a slash after it. The slash indicates the number of beats. Down here at the second line of the chorus, we even have some 1-beat chords. Song's not particularly fast, but there's a lot going on. So hopefully you'll take the opportunity to go through this a few times, and maybe you can add this to your repertoire, because, as I said, it is quite a lovely song. Shades of night are creeping, willow trees are weeping, old folks and babies are sleeping. Silver stars are gleaming, all alone I'm scheming, scheming to get you out here, my dear. Come tiptoe to the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Tiptoe from your pillow to the shadow of a willow tree. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Knee deep in flowers we'll stay, we'll keep the showers away. And if I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, will you pardon me? Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Come on out and pet me, come and Juliet me, tease me and slyly coquette me. Let me Romeo you, I just want to show you how much I'm willing to do for you. Come tiptoe to the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Tiptoe from your pillow to the shadow of a willow tree. Come tiptoe through your tulips with me. Knee deep in flowers we'll stray, we'll keep the showers away. And if I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, will you pardon me? Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. All right, 1 sour chord in there, but I think we made it through pretty good. I hope you take the time to work on that song and get it added to your repertoire. All right, now here's another fun, unusual song, 1923, and I included it because we just finished switching to daylight savings time, and daylight savings time was pretty new back in 1923. I think it came in the United States in 1919, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So this was only the 4th year it had been in place, and we get confused now. Imagine that this is only the 4th time you've ever changed your clocks forward. So we've got a little bit of the unusual construction here. We've got verse 1, and then we're going to do the first chorus. This line says all is part of every chorus, and then we do chorus 1, and then we go up and we do verse 2, and then we're going to do chorus 3 and chorus 4. And like the comedy song we had earlier, there are 8 choruses here. I'm only showing 3. If you go onto Uke Jams, you can find the other 5 if you want to assay those particular words. So Here we go. When It's Nighttime in Italy. A really fun nonsense song, I think. Hurrah, rah, 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 college boy threw all his books away. He said, I've lost my appetite, my hair is turning gray. I know my Greek and history, and Latin is up high. But if east is east and west is west, then won't you tell me why? When it's nighttime in Italy, it's Wednesday over here. When it's fish day in Germany, you can't get shaved in Massachusetts. How high is up? I'd like to know. How low is down? And when will we have snow? If you bump into Gallagher, you'll find that Gene is near. When it's nighttime in Italy, it's Wednesday over here. Verse 2. This rah-rah-rah-rah college boy stood up in class and said, I've looked up my geography and found that Shakespeare's dead. The reason I speak Portuguese is I'm some clever guy. But if parlez-vous means how are you, then won't you tell me why? When it's nighttime in Italy, it's Wednesday over here. All the onions in Sicily make people cry. In California, you drive a horse, I drive a Ford. That doesn't prove a sailor is aboard. When you lay on a mattress, you'll find that spring is here. When it's nighttime in Italy, it's Wednesday over here. Last chorus. When it's nighttime in Italy, it's Wednesday over here. When it's wash day in Picardy, they're eating ice cream cones in Georgia. 16 and 4 makes 31. Take 8 from 5, and your day's work is done. By the time that they pass a bill to bring back beer and wine, 'twill be nighttime in Italy and Wednesday over here. All right, nighttime in Italy. Fun song about daylight savings time. A little nod to prohibition there. And I think this is, no, we got a couple more songs to go. A song I think a lot of people don't know. When old Bill Bailey plays the ukulele. So in 1902, we heard about Bill Bailey and how his wife threw him out and was begging him to come back. And he was a bit of a player then, but he seems to fall on hard times here. When old Bill Bailey plays the ukulele, notice it's a ukulele, 1915. This is right at the beginning of the ukulele craze, which is generally marked from the San Francisco Pan Pacific Exposition in 1915. It really predates that, but that's the stake in the sand that most people refer to as the beginning of the ukulele craze. So, old Bill Bailey. Now this version is A. I've also put together a version in C, which is in G, which is obviously going to be a little bit easier to play. But this particular one happens to be an A, so it's a fun song. We've got a chorus right here in the middle that I didn't highlight. Sorry about that. So after the second verse, we're going to go back and we're going to do the chorus again. A fun song, and makes a great companion if you happen to do Old Bill Bailey, because that song is so short unless you add the verses, and I say the verses aren't really very good for that song. So here we go. In Honolulu town, a man known miles around has turned things upside down. They call him Old Bill Bailey. Bill Bailey won his fame with his old guitar. Ukulele is its name in that land afar. The ship's way out at sea can hear his melody when old Bill Bailey plays the ukulele. Down in Honolulu, they do the hula hula every evening. There they are, swaying while he's playing his Hawaiian guitar. The ragtime motion, even as the ocean, bobbing up and down. Sometimes a whale gets feeling flip, wags his tail and sinks a battleship when old Bill Bailey plays the ukulele down in Honolulu town. Some suffragettes went down to Honolulu town. Among the gals of brown, they tried a suffrage movement. The meetings that they held never lasted long. Old Bill Bailey broke them up when he played a song. For suffrage they don't care, there's other movements there. When old Bill Bailey plays the ukulele down in Honolulu, they do the hula hula every evening. There they are, swaying while he's playing his Hawaiian guitar. The ragtime motion, even as the ocean, bopping up and down. Sometimes a whale gets feeling flip, wags his tail and sinks a battleship. When old Bill Bailey plays the ukulele down in Honolulu town. All right, old Bill Bailey, a lot of fun there. I love that song. And now I think we've got just the last song. Yes, here it is. Yes, Sir, That's My Baby. Another song where it's a very short song unless you add in the verses. So I've got two verses here, and kind of like Sweet Georgia Brown, there's two different versions of the chorus as well. So nothing particularly unusual in the chords down here. We've got the diminished chord, and we do have a couple one-beat chords there. So this is the last song for our inaugural virtual play-along. So thank you for joining me out there in the internet. This is Leonard Kaufer for Uke Jams. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and like or follow the video on YouTube so that you can be notified of the subsequent ones that they come up. You can go to Facebook and go to the Uke Jams page on Facebook and join that. I'll also be posting them there. And you can go to the website and find all of this music available. So until next time, this is Leonard Kaufer for Uke Jams. Yes, sir, that's my baby. Who's that coming down the street? Who's that looking so petite? Who's that coming down to meet me here? Who's that, you know who I mean, the sweetest who you've ever seen? I could tell her miles away from here. Yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, don't mean maybe. Yes, sir, that's my baby now. Yes, ma'am, we've decided. No, ma'am, we won't hide it. Yes, ma'am, you're invited now. By the way, when we reach that preacher will say, yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, don't mean maybe. Yes, sir, that's my baby now. Who's that who I rave about? Who do I feel blue about? In the winter, summer, spring, or fall? What was I just gonna say? I forget, but anyway, is the most important thing of all. Yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, don't mean maybe. Yes, sir, that's my baby now. Well, well, look at that baby, do tell. Don't say maybe, Nell's bells, won't she cause some row? Pretty soon, we will hear that glowing grin too. Who for should she be, so no one else but me, so yes, sir, that's my baby now. All right, hopefully we'll be putting out one of these a day, so we'll see you tomorrow. This is Leonard Kaufer for Uke Jams. Thank you for joining.